What up? What up? Hope that chat blows up tonight. Waiting on Cole. He should be popping up any time. Mike's good. Let's mess with. Ooh, dream color. Ooh, glamour. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, 8 millimeter. No, I don't want to do that. Ooh, docu. That's pretty cool. Nope, normal. All right. What up? What up? This is Trav, and this is going to be on the spot with Cole Salerson. He'll be joining me here in a few. Um, so I was talking about. I'll just continue to talk about what I was talking about. Everybody from GBR ought to be joining us pretty soon. Can that not be there? I gotta figure that out. So yeah, I was talking about. I'm not sure if he'll be here in a minute. Blanket acceptance and just how, for me, that's just been an enabling tool all these years, and my marathon of recovery. Because all the things that I accepted without really, I just do everything in the acceptance category. I've always fought it, and the reason I've always fought it was because like I want to figure out what's what. I want to know as much as I can to the best of my ability why certain things happen, why certain things were done by certain people, the psychology of it, the psychology of trauma, of abuse, of neglect, um, environmental, household, community, uh, surroundings, how that plays a part in it. It all sculpts us and molds us, whether we know it or not, into who we become and why we behave the way we behave, why we are attracted to the things we are attracted to, why we like the things we like. Garbage in is garbage out. You know, positivity in is positivity out. So it all plays into it. So when certain things happen to you as a kid, or even an adult, and you're forced to deal with it by just swallowing it or putting it on some emotional shelf, you automatically hold a grudge. You automatically feel shame, guilt, and it's too much. It's too much shit to bear, man. And plus, a lot of people don't want to hear it. A lot of people aren't attracted to misery. Misery loves company. Yeah, well, they still don't share the common misery between each other. I don't get none of that. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen that happen too. Should be okay now, though. I haven't heard from him yet. Hopefully, he jumps over here pretty soon. I don't know how to. I just shared that to him. Um, Hopefully, he jumps on. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking. Told you I had a funny feeling about this, but hopefully, it's only for a few. But I mean, since I'm on this topic, um, things that are immediately uncomfortable, um, especially any kind of like physical discomfort that is put on us for whatever reason. And I'm talking when this all starts, which is childhood stuff. You know, anything that's not normal, that's painful physically. Well, we're not gonna deal with it emotionally because that's painful too. We're not gonna talk about it or share it because that's painful. So we bury that. We hide it. It becomes subconscious. We can block it out. There's a lot of things that are probably blocked out that I still haven't, dug up yet. But I'm determined to. I mean, I don't see how anybody's recovering with God or without God, if they're not doing the footwork on ourselves, if we're not being accountable to ourselves, responsible, to, in our own healing process, the steps that take, the steps before we get to the step book and the step work is being willing to open ourselves up, to examine ourselves, and to see what our part was. A lot of things, especially early on, we didn't have a, we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Easy pickings, unfortunate, evil in many ways, right? So that ends up getting buried. Many times nobody knows about it. And I'm not talking just about like abuse. I'm just talking about seeing things that you shouldn't see as a kid that doesn't make any sense. We can't comprehend with our young minds, right? All right, that's enough of those. And you know, if you can't understand something that happened to you, why? Um, it really eats at your confidence. It eats at your. It stunts your emotional growth. And this is why I think a lot of people started drinking and smoking weed and doing what they did, cigarettes, whatever, when they were young, because it was a form of escape. It was a form of numbing out some stuff, forgetting, at the same time fitting in and being accepted by other people that might have around the same age that had a lot of similar stuff happen to them. But the thing about that is, when you consume drugs and alcohol to numb out pains and trauma that weren't your fault, that you didn't play a part in, um, just to get through the day, to belong somewhere, to be liked by somebody. That's the first mask we put on. The first mask that you'll ever wear is the confusion that is perpetual, that's all consuming in many areas when bad things happen to you. You're just in a perpetual, like, WTF state. But you still got to live. You still got to get up. You still got to go to school. You got to participate in daily activities. Um, and so instead of like closing yourself off completely, I call it active depression, which means the real parts of us, of who we really are, that's still developing, get stunted and put on hold while this other version of ourselves gets birthed in darkness, in a negative light, so to speak, because we're forced to accept day to day some things that happen to us that nobody else knows about, we can't say nothing about, and then we start acting out. We start choosing the wrong crowds. We start, our behavior starts to really take a turn for the worse. Um, and that's the result of being so confused. We have to create a whole new identity before ours is even really truly formed at a certain age. So right off the bat, I mean, we're kind of doomed for addiction because we're drinking and drugging to numb out and forget the past. And we're messed up during the day-to-day stuff while we're using. And then we're also messing up our future because of the consequences of our actions while we're using to numb out the past. It's a complete 360 trap. Um, and it's crushing. It's crushing, man. And the amount of lies and the elaborateness, is that a word? That some of us can tell ourselves that we can come up with, to keep hiding all that, to hide within ourselves, to constantly show different versions of ourselves, different masks, different people. Um, it's exhausting. I mean, I would say one of the first things I ever got addicted to was make believe and lying because it was just easier. Hell, I didn't know what the truth was. I didn't know who I really was. I knew I was, you know, a good kid and fun loving and spirited and wanted to, be a part of a lot of good stuff and sporty, somewhat smart, and whatever, had interests and hobbies. But it only takes one bad thing or two, a couple of bad circumstances to just overwhelm and completely blot out all of our positive traits, all of our good qualities, our best selves become smothered by the worst of other people. So all these years later, when you walk into a meeting and they got this big acceptance poster on the wall, that's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face. I get it to a certain extent, but it's never explained exactly. They say this little serenity prayer and all that, and I mean that's fine. I get that. I know where it comes from, but it's it's the serenity prayer is taken as something that's unconditional, and doesn't empower you or encourage you to figure out why certain things happen, why you held on to them so long, and then every time we think back on something, every time we relive a moment or replay a memory in our head, um, it it's never the same. It's always a different version. It always looks a little bit different. Where's this guy at? Try, Trying to get him to come on here. Um, but so yeah, I mean we're doing ourselves a disservice when we're constantly looking back, reliving, replaying moments that we can never exactly recall. We can never, see it or feel it the same way again. And in many ways, that's the most haunting thing and the most debilitating thing is that the things that haunt us are just ghosts of somebody else's character defects, their flaws. It's almost like we take them on. That's part of that cycle, generational cycle thing. Bad people do bad things. Good people can do bad things too. Um, but usually everybody's a pretty good person until something bad happens to them, and it sucks. It's unfortunate, and that's when therapy comes into play, and that's when like really digging within yourself to like find some answers so you can start living again and not just exist and show your true face, you know what I mean, and not live in a constant state of just judging others or being so easily offended or getting so mad so quickly and take everything too personal. Even when somebody's trying to like extend an olive branch or say something constructive to you in a positive way from a place of care and concern and love, um, we can take that as an assault, a condescending kind of like attack on our character. Well, what character are you assaulting? Which one of the hundreds are you attacking that I made up over the years to constantly not just run for myself, but you know, to keep other people in the dark too? Um, it just gets exhausting. It gets absolutely exhausting. So that was the thing about drugs and alcohol, especially drugs, coke, crack. If you just get if you just have that to chase, to consume your every hour of every day, um, it does overtake you and runs everything, and there's no there's no other thoughts. There's no time for reflecting or accepting or misunderstanding or trying to figure out or being confused or do a why me type of thing or any of that. You know what I mean? Um, it becomes all encompassing, and I think that's the biggest reason why a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol because once you're into it that deep, that's all there is. You can still function, go to work, maybe look like you're domesticated, but that's all that's really going on up there. That becomes the hamster on the wheel or the rat, whatever, and that's us just chasing it along. And all these other things that drive us crazy that drove us to that edge, to that over the cliffness, so to speak, is just obliterated, blocked out. There's no room for it, no space, because that rat on the wheel is just all there is now. So I get the trade in sometimes. I really do. I mean, I've done it many times. I've said that before. And I don't know if it was really an excuse as much as it was like really being pathetically honest. I'm like, I just got tired of dealing with all this or not having some things I wanted on top of some negative shit. So I just traded all of that in just for one thing, for one train, one mode of transporting myself through the day. Um, until until you just become a slave to that as well. Then there's no high. We're not doing drugs at that point. The drugs are doing us. So anyway, didn't expect to talk for that long. I'm not sure where my fella is to join me. Um, not really sure what to do where he's at. Um, I might have to stop this and give him a call or something. Bear with me for a minute. I don't know. I've called and messaged him. I told you he was a busy person. Um, Man, I'd really take anybody else that wanted to come on here and talk right now. I don't know who all's viewing. I know Deb's on here, but I mean, I sent the links out. I called. What are you gonna do? Um, Wish I had some other topics or things to talk about. But yeah, this is definitely something I don't like to have happen. I got 5 people looking at me, listening, and I just like talk for 15 minutes about something. Um, I'm hoping to get Cole on here pretty soon uh, to do this interview called On the Spot that has been on God Based Recovery Facebook group page since February. He's a good dude. He's a certified chef. I was in Gateway in Springfield with him, not to break that anonymity, but he's a real cool dude, man. He shops at the Baby Gap. I'll let him explain that. But can't get a hold of him right now. He might have forgot. Um, like I said, he's got a lady. He's got you know two boys that take up a lot of his time. I think he just picked up a second job, so just trying to like vouch for him, I guess in a sense. But hopefully he'll pop on here. But if anybody wants to jump in the chat and give me some ideas of some stuff to talk about, I'd gladly appreciate it. But I'm only gonna try to like wait this out about 5 more minutes. So if anybody's got anything on their minds or hearts and want to chat for a minute or even come on screen with me, just let me know. Otherwise, I want to take a sip of this and try to figure out something else to talk about. Don't know where he is. Does somebody chat something to let me know that it's working? Type something again, Nate. There we go. It's working, Nate. If you're on there, it's working. Say something, Nate. Teresa, okay. Yeah, I mean, I do too. That's why I'm trying to get him on here. But man, Nate, call Brandon Newcomer right quick and tell him to jump on here live with me. Is Nate on here? Why can't I see the people that's viewing it? That's what bugs me. Thanks, Teresa. I swear, God, I swear the devil hates me doing any of these, which is just more reason why I'm going to keep doing them. People's experience after, yeah. Oh man, I, that's the main thing for me that I love hearing about is you know life after the drugs and alcohol. All that is, it's not the it's that's the key that you unlock a door to everything else like I was talking about earlier in the past that oh my gosh, that got us there in the first place. And I get all the literature and all the books and all the slogans and all the posters and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, each one of us from tonight back 300 years ago, a little bit too far, has to lay their heads down on that pillow and oh, there we go. What up, Nate? I said to get a hold of text Brandon Newcomer right quick. Tell him to come on with me. I can't. I don't know where my buddy Cole is. He's busy as heck probably. But we're talking about people's experiences after they get clean and sober. Good evening, brother. You're in the morning. I'm at night. Um, man, if you want to come on, I wouldn't mind that either. But we was talking about people's experiences, after getting clean and how that's I think that's just the key, and to the door of opening up a whole new life. But I was talking mainly about this blanket acceptance type of deal, which I think for many lying, deceiving, manipulative addicts as myself, I was talking earlier about how like I'm all these negative things, and I could admit that I'm impatient, I could admit that I'm immature, I'm an asshole, but that's all I do. I just admit that. And nobody really ever asks, yeah, but why? What led up to all those things you just admitted to? Great job admitting it, but where's the substance? All these positive things I am as well. I'm selfish, but I'm very selfless. And I'll tell you all the reasons why I'm selfless, all the reasons why I'm caring, all the reasons why I'm good and all this stuff without you even asking. But just admitting these other things, that's enough. But I guarantee you, the person who cares about you the most, they're like, okay, yeah, you're a patient. Why? What's accountability? What have you been accountable for? When did your irresponsibility and immaturity start, and why do you think that is? What part did you play in all these lists of negatives that you just named? Well, that's an attack on my character. Like like I can hold my character in any kind of esteem, and I wore 50,000 masks, producing 50,000 different versions of 20 million different characters I put out to thousands and millions of people. Exaggerative, but you get what I mean. Oof. Come on and talk about it. um, yeah, I mean, and that's an example of that's a whole different ball game, but it's still in the same area. That came at a really rough time too, though. Put myself on the spot here, but it's just really easy to paint ourselves in a really good light, and we are all these positive things. People like us for certain reasons. That feels good. We want to be that more. We want to step into that. And all we got to do is just admit these negatives, and that's it, and just leave them alone. That's where blanket acceptance screws us, because when you don't care enough to put some reasoning, some explanation, and some understanding to the thing that you're supposed to be accepting. That's just burying it down, but shining it up a little bit, dusting it off a little bit until there comes that triggering moment, that triggering day, that day that somebody gets on your nerves, cuts you off in traffic, steps on your shoes or something, disrespects somebody in your house, and then you got from that moment on, say right now, to something that happened to you when you're 17, that you admitted I'm this because of something that happened to me when I was 17, but I don't understand it. It caused a lot of confusion. Maybe wear a mask, maybe create a different character. So now you're pissed off from that moment, that triggering moment, and then it accordions, and then now you got 20, 30 years of piss offness that's coming straight to the surface like that. But hey, you're all these good things, right? You're this caring, kind, cool person, man. You're dependable, mature, responsible, God fearing. Awesome. 7 years clean and sober. Know the big book, front to back, up and center. Say good stuff at meetings. You share. You give $1 in the basket. Maybe you even work for the Salvation Army. But those things are absolutely obliterated in the blink of an eye because of something that we were told to accept happened 30 years ago that we admitted to. I'm this because of that. That's it. Leave it alone. Just focusing on my good stuff. I'm just focusing on my good stuff. We get addicted. The first thing that we're ever, this is my opinion, as an addict, 47 years old, the first thing I was ever addicted to was make believe and lies without diving into the abyss of liedom. Maybe I wouldn't have gone off course the way I did. Maybe I wouldn't have blamed God for everything. Well, God made me. It's his fault, right? He knew all this bad stuff was going to happen. He knows exactly what happened. So if he's not willing to deal with it and change it and help me out and make these people pay, and he should have put me in a better place with better parents, with more money and better schools and a better town. That's all lies. I get addicted to the lying right off the bat. Never mind the fact that I was raised on TV. So I saw people on a screen living certain types of lives that looked happier than hell. And they had some trouble and all that, but usually at the end of the episode, they were hugging and eating supper and going to bed at night, and everything was okay. The kids were fine. So I thought that's all it took. I want that camaraderie. I want that love and support. I want that family, that community, that network of caring, nice people. Well, how do I get that? Well, I got to make it all up. I can't focus on all the bad stuff. That's just like putting on, makeup on your blemishes and stuff. You can't go on screen looking like that. We got to make you all up. That's all the negative stuff that just gets made up and covered. And it's just like, well, it's there, but that's it. And as long as you know it's there, that's fine. Yeah, but why? Why is all that there? I didn't cause any of these things to happen. I didn't cause myself not to have a dad that I only met twice in my life. I didn't cause my mom's boyfriend to hate me so much that, he left me at a store across a busy highway to go tell her he is gone on her birthday, and for her to really hate me and hold that against me forever. I didn't cause her muscle disease. I didn't cause her cancer. I didn't cause myself not to have any brothers or sisters, or have all these friends leave me all the time. And I know it sounds like almost, well, it's starting to sound like an excuse. No. No. It's the root of why I had to start lying to myself to gain some things without any substance, because it was all scripted and made up and BS. It was make believe, like the TV show Days of Our Lives. But as long as I started getting fanfare, some friends that laughed, that liked me for some things, I'm lie to get in the door, lie to get a friend, and then use parts of me that are really, real. I am kind. I am, selfless, and I'm funny to some extent, and I care a whole hell of a lot. But then I start showing my true self based on the false pretenses that got me there in the first place. So then guilt, shame, you start to come into play. Then some bad moments happen because people ain't perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. So when some moments of disagreement happen, arguments or whatever, jealousy, envy, all the other emotions, then the true me would come out. The other true me, which is all that maked up, masked bullshit garbage that's just there, but unlabeled, undiagnosed, undetermined, misunderstood, and it just ruins and robs everything good. And that's the thing that sucks the most because I've always relied on that. I'm like, well, I'm these good things. Can't you just like me for these good things and just leave the other stuff alone? I don't even know what all the bad stuff is. I don't know why I am the way I am in the negative light. But this is me too. It's a tough sell, man. It's a tough sell. You can have a Porsche, beautiful mint Porsche. Here it is, man. Look at this. Oh, it's beautiful, shiny, waxed up. Look at the interior. It's awesome leather. Man, I'll take it. That's great. That's going to get me a lot of attention. That's going to make me feel good. I'm going to drive that around, and boy, I'm just going to be looked at and revered. And you know what I mean? Get me somewhere. Shit. Forgot to check the hood. There ain't no fucking engine under the hood. So now I have all this potential with nowhere to take it because I never spent any time working on the main component of me, which was all the negatives, all the bad stuff, all the bad circumstances, all the tough situations, all the shit that I was put through that got put on me without me having any say so, without me being able to defend myself, without me even being able to ask why, certainly not even being able to understand it. But then then I start repeating all the things that happened to me in different forms to other people, passing it right on down that chain, and getting mad at people when they would call it out. Why you like that? Why you do that stuff? I don't know, because I don't know why it happened to me. And that's the worst part of it. When somebody says, "Why the fuck are you like that? Why do you get that pissed? Why you get that jealous? Why are you so stupid? Why are you so immature? Why are you like this?" And that's the worst part of it. That is the absolute most alone, awkward, glaring lights on you. When you cannot face that person, look them in the eye, and be like, I'm a shitty person because shitty people did shitty things to me. And I had a shitty, forget my shitty, but unfortunate circumstances. I don't understand them. Never have, never will. It made me have my own emotional growth stunted. I ran from what I was scared of because it would cause confusion and everything else. And do I blame myself for certain stuff? So I have to make other people feel uncomfortable because of the discomfort they cause me. And I don't know why, because I don't know why it was done to me. So when they say just accept that, you just got to accept that. That just keeps on making that happen. It keeps on passing it on and keeps passing it on. Then we start drinking and drugging because, man, I just got to get through the day. I got to go to work. I got to raise a family. Got to pay the bills. Got to mow the yard. Got to walk the dog. Do all this stuff. Got to be social. Got to do this. Got to do that. I got some positive stuff. I got to just focus on the positives. Just focus on the positives. That's all I need, right? I'm going to get through this. I'm going to set a good example. I am accountable. I am mature. I am dependable. Paying the bills, doing this and that, doing this and that, doing this and that until you ain't. how in the hell did that happen? How did I get a DUI? How did I hit my wife? How did I do this to my kid? How did I, steal something from work or whatever? It's in the past that we accepted without any understanding, any inkling as to why. Perpetual state of confusion, covered up and pushed on and passed on with masks, makeup, false narratives, just hoping that the good parts of us are good enough and can overcome the weight and the darkness of the past. Acceptance without understanding any of it or even trying to. Blanket acceptance. I do not suggest it. Understand it to a certain point. Yeah, well, this is what it's all about for me. I kind of hit on this the other night. Yeah, and I'm gonna get specific. I'm gonna let random people be my therapist. I've used my wife as an emotional vending machine. I gotta get that on a T-shirt. Don't treat your significant other as an emotional vending machine, because they're not gonna be able to give you certain things you want at certain times. And once again, as an example, once we grow to like what we like, who we like for whatever reason, and this is our person, right? We got to get everything good from them. Every good emotion I have to have from this person. And when they don't give that to you, not out of spite or meanness or something, they just ain't feeling your certain vibe on a certain day. Well, what the fuck is wrong with them? What is wrong with that person? What are they doing? Now you're starting to be suspicious. Now you're starting to be paranoid. Now you're making allegations and accusations. What are you doing? Why didn't you give me what I asked for? I'm a good person. I clean the house. No, I mean, I might just be talking about myself in this sense, but that's how I'd be. That's how I'd be. And I'm telling you, this is my bad traits, my character defects, my flaws, and all that are directly resulted in consequences of things that happened to me as a kid that I never was able to understand or even ask why. And I'm not saying, woe is me, pity me. There's, God, Lord knows, and I know. I'm fortunate and grateful to have the upbringing and the childhood that I did, even though it cost me a lot of lost years and to hurt a lot of people along the way because I was hurt myself. Hurt people hurt people. You know, good people can hurt good people. It only takes one bad thing to happen. And many people my age and older grew up way worse than me. I mean, I just know. Don't we know? You know that, right? Somebody's always got it worse than you. Somebody's had it way worse than all of us. That's the root. That is the root, the base. And it's scary to look into that. It really is. I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I'm not a thrill seeker. But I don't climb mountains. I'm not jumping out of airplanes. I don't like loud motorcycles. I don't like loud trucks. I don't. But you want something that's a thrill. You want a thriller. You want something that could push your boundaries, push you to your limits. Dig a little bit. The answers are in the past, and we're not going to get every one of them. There's no way you're going to understand them all. We won't even know the right questions to ask. None of that. And you can work all the steps you want to work. I get that. I'm working more, and they've helped me more than anything. Is those steps, 15 questions through step 4. I got to pick that book back up. But it got a little dicey. It got a little bit heavy. But oh my God, that is such a necessary heaviness because it's already been here. Here's the heaviness, unknown for years. And once we get mad, jealous, pissed off, whatever, we unload that heaviness, that burden onto the people that we love. And then we say, we're sorry. Forgive me. I know not what I do. And that's really, nobody says that. I'm just saying, it's hard to apologize to somebody for things you do or say to them. One, when they don't deserve it. But God dang it, you didn't deserve it either. I didn't deserve it. And it's like, well, now it's starting to sound like an excuse. No, man. It's the excuse is when you just flirt around. I had a bad childhood. I didn't have a dad. Da-da-da-da. That's excuses because you're just dancing around. You're flirting with disaster when you say stuff like that. You're setting yourself up for failure. And we can say it boldly and courageously, like we're really saying something like, I had a bad past. I'm an addict. That's what I do. I'm always gonna be one. I'm just an asshole. And my mom never loved me. Whatever. She loved my brother more than me and all this other stuff. That's excuses. Because it's not being specific. The toughest guys outwardly or what mama's boys. Like I said, I wish I could have been one. My mom was just not available, but in many ways I still kind of was because there's no dad, no brothers or sisters, and my mom was just unable to after a certain age. So I just grew up floating. I got my grandma helped me as much as she could, and that was it. Then I had friends that came and went, and TV. And here I am, 47 years later. How I'm not a statistic or wearing, some numbers across here, in an institution somewhere is because of God. Everything. And I'm telling you now, here's how much I'm not using my past as an excuse, and here's how much I absolutely refuse to accept it all without even a minuscule worth of understanding, is because I'm going to keep repeating it, and I'm going to keep going back to my drugs and drinking. God took the drinks and the drugs away from me. But my mind, the frequency of how much I use them, makes me keep chasing other stuff. Not as harmful and not as bad and debt-ridden as drugs and alcohol. But just because that's removed from me doesn't mean my mind and brain is reset, like pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome or symptoms. So that's going to be that way for a while. But he still gave me another chance to be like, listen, you can't have this on your mind. You can't be chasing this 24/7 and having that mask over and smother up every other thing that led to this. You had some bad childhood, some buddies died, this and that and the other. My cat got ran over. I still miss that cat. Ooh, he'd be here every time I go live if I had it my way. But just I lost a lot of stuff over the years. But then at the same time, I gave up on a lot of stuff. So now what right do I have to complain? Anyway, he says, you got to dive back into your past. I'm not going to let you fall back into it and let that eat you whole like it did again and smother you up. But you got to try to figure out and understand some things a little bit more at a time, at whatever pace, to figure out why you became the way you became and did the things you did and have done. And all the negative things, all the positive things are there. They're real. They're great. But the negative things, are directly resulted to some things that happened to you in the past that you don't understand. You no more accepting, no more just admitting one word things that we are, and then trying to gloat and sell everybody on the shiny positive things we are and give them millions of reasons why we're all these things, and just acting like the things we admitted, well, I'm an addict, I'm an asshole, I know I'm a bad dad, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. There's nothing else. Like that's like having a whole thing of paper and just having one sentence on it and be like, that's it. I have books closed. No, what's in it? Oh, just nothing. Nothing is in it. There's just a title, one word. Scared to death to look into that, to go back and figure out why everything happened the way it's happened. But the shame and the guilt come from not opening up and exposing myself to all that. It's from not having the courage to do it in the first place. Am I more scared of what I'm going to find as opposed to what it's all caused me to do already? When the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain to change, then I think I said that wrong, but you guys know what I mean. And that's the place I'm at. Is like I've been the way I've been for so long. It's either if we ain't growing and changing, being uncomfortable, having people that we love challenge us by saying, "Hey, I'm gonna," cause I'm always like, how many of us are like, "Oh, you tell me the truth. I'm an open book. Say whatever you want to say," and then that person says it, and we're like, "How dare you? How dare you say that?" And this is, and so I was talking good. And I don't want to start rambling and stay on point. Um, I don't know where he's at. That's what I was trying to say, Nate. I sent a bunch of messages out to him. Sent the links out right at 7:30. I'm not sure. I don't think he is. I saw 38 minutes ago was the last time he was active on Messenger. Not sure he just forgot or got something else to do. But I'm telling you, I'm rolling with what I'm rolling with because I think the things I'm talking about now I really need to get out. So if he comes on, he comes on. If not, we can reschedule it. But I got to get into my past, man. And I've hit around it and skirted around it for too long. And like I said, it's not worse than anybody else's. If anything, I'm fortunate and grateful for it. Here's the reason why I say I'm grateful for my bad upbringing and my past and my childhood. I'm not fortunate or grateful for the things that happened to my mom and her life. But God said, hey, I'm going to take this drugs and alcohol off you. Because you do have gifts and talents that I've given you, that I've graced you with, that you damn well know for sure that you have. These abilities, this heart, this passion, this compassion, this empathy for others, and this motivation and determination to figure things out, to try to not just break generational curses, but to obliterate them all together. And there's only one way to do that. That's God. What am I so... Here's the kicker. Nate, listen to this. I hope you're still there. What are any of us so scared to go back and face? We're like, God is great. Jesus died for our sins. He's the best. He's the only way. Do you know what Jesus went through? I've read and seen the movie Passion of the Christ. And that's a movie, I get that, but he was beaten unrecognizably. He was tortured and murdered in the worst way possible for being pure of heart, which none of us are, by the way. If we're all sinful people, we have flaws and defects of character, and see how that goes. And so we can have the best of intentions and I'm pure of heart. Well, I mean, maybe you're closer than somebody else. But how are we going to say, well, I'm scared to go back in the past. I don't want to open up that, I don't, that closet's got too many skeletons in there. Scares me. I just rely on God. Let's give it to Jesus. There's my problem. There's my problem. I'm disrespecting the person, the entity who removed this from me, the drugs and the alcohol, so I could return to sanity, face my demons of the past, my demons. But if I'm not willing to do that footwork of the past we need to dig up, the flashlights we need to take into those closets and pull those skeletons out. If we're not willing to do that, we're still giving all glory and all praise to God and Jesus. But if Jesus was willing to go through and knew what he was going to go through for us to get to this point we are in our lives now, to have all the things we have, to know that we're full, sin, and we got to repent and be better people and all that stuff. And, the only way to heaven is through Christ, and that's salvation, and we don't really deserve anything. But, if we're not willing to try to heal, I just think it's just disrespectful to the same God that I owe my life to. We're strong enough. He doesn't put too much on us that we can't bear, and that's my point. How do I say thank you to God, to Jesus? By trying to get myself better, to try to put explanations and reasons to all these negative things that I admit to so freely, that I wrote down on paper years ago, like 80 some negative traits and qualities and stuff that I am. But those will always be there to haunt us in our daily affairs tomorrow and the next day, the next year, if we don't put explanations and reasons to those. And I'm impatient because of why. I am selfish because of why. I'm jealous because of why. You know what I mean? I'm a bad brother or sister or parent because of why. Go back. We have minds, we have memories. Like I said, you can't remember everything exactly perfect. But stop spinning your memories. Stop putting a spin on it. Stop altering those. Think with your heart, not with your mind, man. That's what I need to do. So, how do I tell Jesus I love him? How do I give him the glory? How do I give him the praise? By being fearless of my past. He was fearless. He died for all of us, so we could try to be as best as we can on this earth. We're not going to be like Jesus. But man, I can't say I'm good enough. I can't ever say, if I can't say to my loved ones, my wife or anybody else, that hey, here's my good stuff. Let's just focus on that, okay? Don't worry about all this other BS over here. It is what it is. Acceptance, right? I have to accept all my bad stuff, so you do too. Right? Just focus on the good stuff. I'm funny. I'm funny for crying out loud, all right? If they're not willing, if certain humans, friends, bosses, wives, sons, daughters, if they're not willing to accept us for certain as we are, and maybe shut us out of their lives for whatever reason, and I get that happens, and that's a whole nother avenue to go down. But how am I gonna die and be like, well, God, looking back, she led me for quite a while. It just didn't work out. Irreconcilable differences. Another cop out. Why? Let's say why it didn't work out. Irreconcilable differences. Stamped, approved. Now you're divorced. Ugh. Let's talk. Let's get real. Because Jesus already knows all this stuff. He's like, well, they loved you mostly out of pity because you didn't know how to love yourself and you wasn't willing to. So that love wasn't even really love, and I don't know you. I mean, you didn't really respect my son and myself enough to really try to get better, and at least pursue it, a little bit. You're not going to be perfect, but He just kind of was like, I'm funny and I care now and then, and that's it. And you can't get in a habit that way. You want to talk about amends? My number one amends, when I get to it, would be leaving myself open to examine my past, people in my past, circumstances, um, and admitting a lot of stuff. Confessions with details. And then that's letting go and letting God give him the details. He already knows them anyway. If just say that you were raped as a kid, okay, and that's a hell of a topic. That's an issue I shouldn't even probably brought up as an example. And nobody wants to think back on that. Nobody wants to relive that. I totally get that for sure. But God knows. He's the only one that knows the exact circumstances and all the details, and that's horrible. The horrific evilness of it. And there's no part the victim plays in that as a kid or a person, adult. But as much as you can bear to speak on it, some of the circumstances, some of the details, you're taking some of that power back from that person who did that to you. The the stepdad that beat you, or the dad that beat you, or the bully at school or something. The more details that you can give and speak life into, you take the power back from that. You don't just say I was beat. You just don't say I was bullied. Dig into that a little bit. Give in to that memory and be like, this is as much as I can remember. This is as much as I can remember. And the more that you speak that out, it loses its power and control over you. That's what I think God wants us to do. And the reason why I think he wants us to try to do that as much as we can, as honestly as we can, is because look what he went through for us. Look what he went through for me to be this pathetic, awesome mess that I am. Pathetic and awesome. I'm both those. But my job, my responsibility is to try to stop being so pathetic and not just rely on my awesomeness to get me by. So, long, long road ahead. Many more steps to go through. Um, this is who I am. And on bad days, I should jump on here too. This is what I'm going to do, one way or another. Whether it's in this bathroom, in this house, a studio, I mean, I don't care, but I'm never going to stop talking about the stuff that's on my heart, that's on my mind, and what I feel God wants me to put out there to other people. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm just made in God's image as you are. So that means you have the same abilities and capabilities as I do. And we all have different interests, different passions, different things we got to take care of, different obligations. But obligations, obligations. If God ain't your number one obligation and your number one priority, then don't talk to me about obligations and priorities and things you got to take care of and places you need to go. He called us misfits because we weren't made to fit into this world. That's why. We're misfits because we're in this world, not of it. We're not meant to fit, meant to serve. Amen. So this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I miss Cole not being on here tonight. I didn't get thousands of viewers. Does that stop me and stunt me from speaking what I think God puts on my heart and speaks out through me to say? It's just me being truthful, not honest. Because honesty, I'm telling you, and truthfulness are two different things. Honesty, I could always tweak and add to and take away from a little bit, right? Honesty was a dishonest recipe. Truthfulness is just what it is. Truthfulness is the whole meal, the whole entree, the whole dessert, and everything. As is, no preservatives, no salt, no spices, just deliciousness. Of course, you need some salt and spice and all that stuff, but you know what I mean. Truthfulness is face value. Honesty is stocks. And they could fall short real quick. Don't put your faith in that. Put your faith in face value things, fixed rates and all that. Truthfulness is a fixed rate. All right, now I'm getting done. I just want to thank everybody, man, for coming on here. I talked for an hour, just rambled all this stuff off the top of my head. I tune into Nate Aaron Burke every morning at 7 for a little bit while I'm door dashing. He's always saying great things, man. Always saying that great things. He's coming up now. He's got a guest he's going to be doing with Ronald Whipple, and they're going to be breaking down a lot of stuff, Christianology and all that stuff, and what it really means, and how we could live that as best we can in our everyday lives, man. And this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I watched the Blake Martins. I watched the Johnny Childresses. I've watched Brandon Newcomer. And yeah, I'm taking bits and pieces from all of them and trying to get into where they're at and doing the same things they're trying to do. But as I was telling Deb last night, man, I don't know how this will sound, so I even say it. When I do these, I'm gonna have a couple of ideas. Well, when I interview people, that's different. But when I just do these, like I did a few nights ago, random topics. Teresa was there, Tracy. I'm just opening up, and wherever it leads me, it leads me. Whatever I end up talking about is what I'm talking about, and because that's what I'm feeling, and that's what's put on my heart. That's what's on my mind. It's aligned with God's will, and everything just flows out like the way it's supposed to. I spent too many years lying and bullshitting, making promises. I can't tell you one promise that I fulfilled, that I made good on. So no more promises. I'm obligated to do the best I can for myself so I can be better for other people that I claim to love, that I've apologized to. And all that is through God, for God, by God. And that's the only way. Jesus was tortured and died for our sins. The least we can do is try to dig in the past a little bit and be truthful for why we are the way we are. If there's things to blame on other people, blame it on other people. Say their names out loud. What is that? Nate, what is that? Tie the thing, rope around the neck of a person who hurts a child and cast them into the ocean. Who are we protecting? I got names, but I digress. Maybe some night. But this sugarcoating and masking stuff and editing our pasts and who we've been sculpted and molded into being is over with. I'm not doing it. I cannot do it. I've been the complete opposite of that for so long. This is the result, the fruit of my negative, unabashed, manipulative, deceitful, lying self for many years. Now I get to use all the bad, negative parts of me in the best light possible with truthfulness and God's glory being my only obligations. The rest will take care of itself. That's what I want to do with these interviews, and that's what I want to do with these, just me coming on talking about random stuff. This is the channel I want to go down. God willing. When he says talk about this, I talk about this. You know what I mean? I don't even have the opportunity or chance to edit or censor myself or whatever. And I know it comes down to it's not what you say but how you say it, but yeah, it is about what you say sometimes. And when you can combine how you say it on top of that, then the point should get across real plain and simple. This is me. I'm Trav Ingram. Travis to Deb. Nice to meet you. This is going to be a hell of a journey we're going down. Come with me on it. Tell the world. But everybody that I've interviewed, everybody that's in the group, everybody that's a member now that is with me, that I befriended, that I check up on a daily basis, not to have you just come on and do an interview and then to cast you aside. I stay in there with you, in the fight with you. Strength in numbers, no alone in connection. God leads us all. We're all brought together for the same reason, to live as best of a life as we can by using the bad stuff that happened to us for the best reasons now. Okay? If we ain't healed from our past, if we ain't brave enough to look into the past and be like, I don't understand, I can't think of everything and remember everything that happened to me here, but this is, I'm going to say everything I can really remember 100%. This sucked. This shouldn't have happened. This was bad. I did this as a result. This made me act out because I didn't deal with it. I didn't understand it. I was confused, and now I started acting out. This behavior when I was 22 is directly resulted of this thing that happened to me when I was 8 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be specific as much as possible, as much as it hurts, as much as it may sound awkward and be uncomfortable for whoever we're sharing it to. Find that person. God already knows anyway. He's already played that tape forward to you. But you care about your kids, you care about your wife and everybody else, and co-workers and whoever else. Yeah, that's great. But you can't care for yourself just with your care for them. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't create this own love for yourself and happiness for yourself and joy for yourself, even if you're the best person around those people. They love and revere you and hold you in high esteem and tell you all the time how great you are. And that's great. But their opinion and view of you cannot become your own. You have to really see yourself for who you was, who you were, and who you would like to be. And if you're happy with a lot of the stuff you're doing, great. There may not be a whole lot of work you got to do. I'm not saying everybody's got a terrible childhood or a terrible past, man. I'm not really saying that. But that's the base. That's where it all began for every addict. Good or bad. Low income, rich. I don't care. So, yeah, I'm going to start opening up a lot more about a lot of stuff. Because God took the desire, the temptation, and urge of drugs and alcohol out of my life. And he said, now, what are you going to do with it? Where are you willing to take yourself? Mr. Creativity, Mr. Always Have Something to Say, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Funny Guy. Is that enough for me? Have I relied on just those small few things of goodness of me that God gave me to get me all the way here, to give me the wonderful wife and best version of me I could ever hope to be? When I grow up, I want to be like Deborah Robbins. Accountability. Yeah. There was never anybody more accountable than Jesus. I think we owe it to him to be a little bit more accountable. And that requires a lot of us to dive in our past and open up them closet doors. Take them off the hinges. Drag them skeletons out of there. Look them in the face. Know where they came from. Know who they are. And then know why you put them in there in the first place. And then burn the whole damn closet down. You deserve that. Each person deserves that. You may be living your best life right now. You may have a great house. You may have a lot of money. But it's risky because at any moment, those masks, those character defects, those skeletons, all that acceptance of things we have no idea why or how, could come back. And a lot more would burn down except than just that closet with the skeletons in it. We have so much to lose, but so much to gain. And what we have to gain on earth pales into comparison to heaven. So that's the ultimate goal. But they say you can't earn your salvation, you can't earn your way into heaven and all that, only through Jesus and the belief in him. Yeah, well, I got respects to pay. I got love to show. And that requires me, who is made in his image, to go clean up as much damage that I can, whether it was mine or not, whether I know my part or took part in any of it or not, whether things just happened to me innocently. let me go analyze that and look at it. I'm willing to do it. No, it's time. I'm off here, man. I'm smelling something cooking. I'm gonna have to get off here. Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't pop on here, but I'm glad I got to say all this. I feel like God's like, no, let's just have you say this tonight. So I even told Deb a little bit before I even jumped on here. I'm like, yeah, something just kind of feels off, and I'm happy with this result. So thanks for letting me ramble to you for the last hour and a half or hour and 10 minutes. Uh, this is where I want to take things. So why can I have interviews called On the Spot and interview people and talk about recovery and addiction and everything else? Is this going to be about recovery or how to get to heaven? I don't want to be that person. Josh Robbins, I don't want to be him. Good luck. 14 years clean and sober, awesome. Man of God, he says, cool, man. But I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be that condescending. I don't want to be sarcastic anymore. I want to be the best version of myself I can be because Jesus is the best and I made it in his image. So just try for that. But that requires me getting rid of a lot of junk garbage. That's what I'm going to do. This is where I want to take these lives. This is the stuff I want to talk about. Everything in between. Certain people only talk about stuff out of the Bible. Certain people just talk about God in this way. Certain people just talk about recovery in this way. I'm talking about everything that I get put on my heart to talk about at any given time. Very little preparation goes into this. I might run my mouth, but God controls the tongue. I'm out of here, y'all. Be good. I'll figure out what happened with Cole. We'll try to get him back on here. But Nate, if you're still there, will you please reach out to Brandon Newcomer and tell him to check his messages? Because I'm going to try to get him on here real soon. I cannot go to Missouri to do it, but see if you can message him for me. Maybe I'll owe you a favor or something. He already kind of said he was interested in doing one, so I think that would be awesome. That's who I'm after next to be putting on the spot. Brandon Newcomer. But in the meantime, I'll keep you guys updated if Cole pops back up. It's not going to be tonight, but we'll see what happens. But no bad feelings or nothing on him. Like I said, he's a very busy person. I said that I don't know how many times. So I'm sure stuff pops up, man. People have lives. They can't just like put hours aside just to talk to this guy. So even though they should, everybody be good. But be good to yourselves first.